Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your other Shorty, and I'm back. And I put a little content warning on the YouTube description for this one, but just to make sure everyone knows, this is going to be a comic book review which involves talking about sex, and occasionally I might drift into non-consensual ideas, and I want to make sure you're on board with this kind of conversation. If not, totally understand. You can go and watch another video I've done, no issue, or find a review of this which doesn't really get into it. But it's going to be hard to discuss this one without talking about that kind of thing. So hit me from Krista Faust and Priscilla Petrates. I apologize, I'm almost certainly pronouncing Priscilla's surname wrong. Petrates, maybe? I've only ever seen it written down. But we're going to talk about the artwork first, because Priscilla is actually, I'm just going to use her first name. I apologize, George. I know you've never given permission to, but I feel it's better than just pronouncing your surname wrong repeatedly. She's done another book from the same studio, AWA, which I absolutely love. She's Chariot. And the artwork on that was phenomenal. The first issue, though, when I reviewed it, there was a lot of, well, not a lot of, but there was some motion line kind of work going on there. And in the middle of like really intense action sequences, it felt not great. It actually felt like she was not confident enough in the dynamic nature of her own drawings that she felt like she had to put them in to make sure everyone knew exactly what was going on. Weirdly, after I reviewed that, I then didn't read anything until it got completed, because I didn't get a chance to get an issue 2. So I thought I'd grab the trade when it comes out. And I grabbed the trade, and by the time I got to the end, she'd pretty much stopped using motion lines. And I was like, aha, she probably watched my review. I know she didn't, but her artwork is fantastic. It's absolutely phenomenal. It was actually the best thing about that book by the end of it, because it's written by Brian Hill, who's okay. And that's like the best thing he's ever written. And I'm still only saying it's okay. Her artwork absolutely elevated it. This is a similar kind of situation where the artwork is so integral to it for 2 reasons. Number one, it's a lot more downplayed. The coloring is nowhere near as intense, but it needs that. It's a guy called Marco Lesko on the coloring for it, and you don't have that vaporwave, high intensity, like washed out, well, not washed out, lens flared kind of coloring. It is a little bit more earthy. Even in situations where we're in a casino, you don't have huge neon lighting. It's a lot more just concentrating on realism, and I think that's very, very cool. You also, and this is an important thing, because this is a comic book that is at its very, very heart feminist, you see a flip on the male gaze when you're dealing with sex workers. And we'll get to sex worker stuff later on, but we're just going to carry on the artwork just for a little bit, because there's some excellent moments of female gaze rather than male gaze. And I do not have time to get into entirely what that means. It's quite a complicated subject with a lot of history. Look into it. There's some great YouTube videos out there. But in this particular moment, very early on, you get a shot of a bodyguard who's an absolutely buff piece of work, but all they do is do a nice close-up on his neck and collarbone. And it's an odd little thing, but it absolutely works to get the point across of what they're trying to do, and it just totally made me reevaluate how this was presented. It's fantastic, absolutely worth it, for if not for anything else, for that alone, but it's also absolutely brilliant. Now we're going to get to the writing. Krista Faust has done some other things for AWA. She did Bad Mother, which was suburban crime drama, and Redemption, which is queer post-apocalyptic cowboy story. One of those appealed to me more than the other, and you'll have to figure that one out for yourself. But because she clearly has range, I was interested to read pretty much anything with her name on it. And the first few pages of this were revealed in the back of another AWA comic book I read. I can't remember which one off the top of my head. And I was thinking to myself, this is going to be a bit of a challenging read, because it is dealing with sex work, but it's not dealing with it in any kind of way you expect, or at least the way you've been presented. The main character, give me 1 second, I want to say Lulu, but I have a feeling, no, it is Lulu. The main character is actually not a victim at any point. And in the back matter, Faust does say about how it's an important narrative, and that yes, there are victims in the sex work industry. There's victims in almost every industry. Modern slavery is a thing. But that doesn't mean they all need saving and all need rescuing. It doesn't mean they're all doing it because they had no other option. Some people are doing it because it's what they can do well, and it pays well, and they can look after themselves. And what's nice at this point is we don't fall into the terrible trap of just strong female character. This isn't a woman who can just absolutely 100% take care of herself and needs no man. Is a woman who understands limitations. She's a part of a world which is still heavily patriarchal. And even with her proclivities, she still could put herself in an awful lot of danger which she doesn't want to be in. There is long sections of this book, and I said long there as if I was a bad thing. It isn't. There are repeated sections where we deal with consent in sex, not just in sex work, but in sex overall, and exactly what that means and how it can present itself, and how some people go one way or another on it, depending on like what they think they can get away with, and how it's never ever right to break that kind of thing. Because when we're talking about sex work, we kind of assume that if you pay for it, well, no, we don't assume. we're shown from Hollywood and terrible TV shows that if you pay for it, you get the right to do it. And that's kind of like the end of the transactional conversation. Krista Faust doesn't do that. She really, really gets under the number of it, and she discusses not only that, but BDSM as well, and how that plays into subdom relationships and how that can go into issues of consent. And again, what is acceptable and what isn't. It's great that it has these conversations. More people should be having them. You should not just be reading things like 50 Shades of Grey and thinking that's how it works. You should not be reading the Twilight things and thinking that kind of relationship isn't massively male-centric and completely messing around people's mind. There are healthy relationships you can have within this spectrum, and it's absolutely lovely to see Faust exploring them, and at the same time doing a really heavy action-based crime drama that looks fantastic. I have only one criticism of this entire book. There's a title page about 6 or 7 pages in, which looks brilliant, and then you turn the page and that exact same artwork is used as the first panel of the next page. It bugged me a little bit, and I don't think it's necessary. There's definitely other ways you can do that. But that is literally my only complaint about it. It's absolutely fantastic. That's it from me today. Maybe even for the week. I might do a bonus one tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. But until then, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.